Welcome to Relish Lifestyle. It's our first podcast of 2025. It always takes me a while to get used to saying the new year.
I know. And first of all, we just want to say that we had great intentions of starting the new year with a podcast, but unfortunately, the usual seasonal lurgy and various things have kind of made us sort of, take a step back and unfortunately not do a podcast. But it's been quite good.
We made it through Christmas. We didn't get the lurgy at Christmas.
No, we made it through Christmas, and we had our porchetta,
which was delicious. And I had a partridge for one.
For New Year.
I did for New Year, which I did a quick video on TikTok, which, funnily enough, literally as I put the partridge in the oven, that's when my oven broke.
Oh, yes.
So the fan in the back of my oven decided to fall out and back. I think that's the technical way of explaining it. So that was a tiny bit of a drama, but I managed, by hook or by crook, to sort of take the legs off the partridge, slow cook those on top of some red cabbage and some leftover cranberries, which were still in the fridge from Christmas. So I'm trying to use that stuff in the fridge. And then I managed to quickly sort of flash fry and baste the breast and have that for my New Year's Eve supper.
And you did say it was very delicious.
Really delicious. I think the key is that the legs, yes, you can, I had to cook them for, an hour and a half, 2 hours in my non-working oven. But the partridge itself, the breast, it took, I fried it, browned it, basted it, I was with some butter, but probably took 8 to 10 minutes between that and a bit in the oven. But I think that's key because otherwise it's dry as a bone. Some recipes were saying half an hour.
No. But it's supposed to rest it, is it?
Yeah. But half an hour would have killed it.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to be really wary with things like that some recipes will say cook the whole bird with legs on for half an hour, but then you end up with probably slightly underdone legs and slightly overdone breast. So it's a bit of I would definitely take the legs off the main bird.
Actually, you saying that, I saw a recipe that someone, there's so many recipes out there, isn't there, just before Christmas on how to cook the best turkey. Okay. And one was for some top sort of mega Michelin starred chef. Mm-hmm. And he was, with a huge turkey, he was saying, basically you've got to take the legs off.
Oh, okay.
So you have your whole turkey, then you take legs off. And I thought, in reality, when you've got a massive bird like that, but who is going to do that?
The only thing for me is, for most people, well, everybody really, the turkey would take up the whole oven. So if you take the legs off, what do you do with the leg? Because you can't cook it all at the same time.
No, but I think he just cooked it separately.
Yeah, but we only got, space-wise, we talked about before.
Yeah, so space...
It's all right if you are a Michelin star chef with 5 ovens, but for the rest...
Yeah, well, I suppose but the other side, the flip side of that is actually if you do take the legs off, you could probably get it into a smaller oven.
This is true, But
anyway, it was quite a complex, and I thought, I'm not sure there'd be many people doing that.
No.
Even in Michelin-starred chefs, I think quite often when it comes to Christmas, they probably don't want to be cooking themselves anyway.
No, so they go out. Or go to their mothers or something, or fathers. So what did you get any Christmassy kitchen gifts? I can't remember.
Yes. Charlie.
What was in yours?
You gave me a Zwilling knife.
Oh, yes, I did.
So I had a Zwilling knife. I have a variety of knives, but some of them are a bit old. And I'm sure I've not been, which we should probably cover on another podcast, but I've not really been sharpening them properly. I am trying now.
Blade.
Anyway, I did get a nice new knife, and it's amazing when you get one how sharp it is.
Well, versus the old ones.
Yeah, even though you think they're quite sharp.
Careful of fingers.
You do, actually. I was suddenly paranoid, I actually don't have a knife block as such. So they do go in a drawer, and I was like, oh God, if that one goes upside down, that could be the top of a finger off very quickly.
Please be careful.
What about you?
Well, I was very lucky.
Oh, yes.
I had...
Father Christmas delivered.
I did. So I do enjoy a good coffee in the morning. I don't drink lots of coffee or caffeine for that matter. But I do, if I have a coffee, I want a good one, if that makes sense. I don't want like an instant coffee, particularly. No. Anyway, very luckily I got a Sage Bambino espresso machine. So I have been I can't speak. I've been trying to sort of finesse my ground coffee. So I've bought a grinder and I've got beans now, which is all a bit of a step change for me. And sort of playing around with it, because obviously it's very much down to personal taste and how quickly it pulls and the pressure and all that kind of stuff. But it's been really good. And it's a 5-6 minute job in the morning, but it's quite good just before you sit down to your laptop to have that time to make your coffee. And it's it's a very clever machine. It is like a proper barista machine, but it has a function on it where you have the milk jug and it has a temperature sensor, so you can foam and do microfoam, but it does it almost for you. You set the temperature and the amount of foam you want and all that kind of stuff. So even you've had a sip, haven't you?
I have. So I have to admit, I haven't really drunk coffee or caffeine for a very, very long time. And, but I always love the smell of coffee. It's not that I don't like it. That's not why I don't drink it. So actually you did make me a coffee and it just smelt so delicious from
the smell.
Grinding beans, and then you make the coffee from the beans and everything. And so I did have some and it was absolutely delicious.
Good.
And I survived it. So I will be having a coffee
maybe
from time to time. I certainly will be.
It.
Yeah, exactly. But I was going to say to you though, do you not think, like you were saying about, it might take you sort of 10 minutes to make the coffee or whatever, but is it not like people that really love tea?
Yeah.
It's that whole ritual thing, that...
Well, I think it stems from basically almost the fundamentals of Relish Lifestyle. Things we relish do often take time. Do you know what I mean? Like when we cook, like when we do our Sunday lunch, it's a very difficult thing to rush. We always say, we're going to eat about 4:30, it ends up being about 6:30. But it's not because we're particularly slow at getting it all ready. It's just you can't roast a chicken quicker. Do you know what I mean? And I think it is, if you enjoy something, it's worth taking the time over. Like I enjoy a good cup of coffee. I'm prepared to take, up to 10 minutes maybe to make it.
Yeah, and maybe that's... you're right, actually. Fundamentally, it's what you relish, and particularly food and drink of any kind. But actually, we should be enjoying or eating or drinking what we really do love, and maybe taking the time to prepare things. And actually, for me, I was thinking about that ritual thing, but for me, a lot about cooking it almost is therapeutic. I know for many it's a chore, but if you can flip it and think about it slightly differently, you put music on, something in the background, but that chopping, that stirring, that adding things, that tasting.
Definitely.
You know what? And then you achieve, you pull something out the oven, or I don't know, it doesn't have to be out in the oven, but even creating a salad or something in a saucepan, but you've created it. It's that achievement and that process, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's a bit like a lot of things in life, actually, if we're going to go there. But I think a lot of things take time to get to achieve what you really want, or to get the look you want. If we talk about lifestyle, like decorating a room, that kind of thing, it can't be rushed. I think it takes time. You have to live through it and see it and live in it. But talking of chopping and that way of being, so the other evening, obviously it's still getting dark quite early, which we don't enjoy particularly. So I decided to kick off my seasonal marmalade making.
Oh, right. Yes, we went orange buying, didn't we? The Seville oranges.
We were actually, I have to admit, we were in Sainsbury's and they had Seville oranges, which obviously for marmalade or Seville marmalade, obviously you do need Seville oranges. And the reason for that is because they're more bitter than regular oranges. You can obviously use normal oranges, but it will be a much sweeter marmalade. But obviously it does still take a lot of sugar to make. So the recipe that I sort of uses about 1.5 kilos of Seville oranges, which obviously have to be juiced. The pith has to be taken out of each half and kept. That's one thing you must do. So you keep the pith and the pips because they contain added pectin. So a muslin cloth is ideal, and you just pile it in. So, but it's, you're juicing sort of and dicing up and slicing 8 to 10, maybe even 12 oranges. So it's definitely a labour of love. It's not a quick thing again. This is why I was still talking about it, because you relish doing it because you like good marmalade. And it is, we looked at some last year when I made it, and we were looking at the ingredients on the back of some marmalades, and some barely contain a single piece of orange, it felt like. Do you remember? We were looking at the colouring and all sorts. But you do need about 2.5 kilos of sugar. I just use regular granulated sugar, and a lemon and a lime, and you do the same with the pith and the pips for the lemon and the lime. But I do also keep the lemon and the lime and put them in with the shredded oranges. And then you add some water, about 2 litres. And it does take, a good sort of hour and a half, 2 hours to get your set marmalade.
And of course, if you are making preserves, you do need really a preserve pan or a very large.
Yes.
Well, it's not even a saucepan, is it?
No, I mean, it depends how big your...
A double-handed kind of preserving pan, really.
Definitely.
Because you need to be able to pour it or, handle it, don't you?
Well, you have to keep taking it off the heat, because obviously you have to see if it's set.
Yeah.
So I think this is what everybody does, but I put a tea plate in the freezer, and then obviously you spoon a bit on, let it cool, and then sort of push your finger up, it wrinkles, and you've hit setting. I do also use a thermometer though, so I know when it's got sort of jam temperature. That's the other thing to do. But that was a labour of love. So I think I was sort of bottling marmalade at 9:45 in the evening.
So just a couple of questions just to clarify for people. So again, what was the quantity of oranges?
About 1.5 kilos.
So 1.5 kilos of oranges. How many jars of marmalade did you get?
Well, it depends on the size of your jar, but I think I got 8 or 9 jars, and I would say mine are sort of regular, what you'd expect jam or marmalade to come in.
Yeah.
They're not huge and they're not tiddly wiggly.
No. And can you just explain to everyone how you make sure that you sterilise the jars?
Well, I run mine through a dishwasher, or you could wash them in just warm water and soap, but obviously make sure you rinse out any soap suds that are left, and dry them a bit. And then I put them on a large baking tray and put them in a sort of 100-degree oven for about 10 minutes. And then just switch them off and leave them in there. Because actually you don't want the other thing to say is once you've sterilised them, you almost want to do that while the marmalade's still bubbling away, because actually you don't want to put really hot marmalade straight into a cold jar, because you could end up with cracked jars. I would also say just make sure your marmalade isn't really hot when you do it, because obviously it can scald and burn. But you can buy these like funnels. They're kind of like not traditional shaped funnel. It's like a sort of flat bottom funnel almost, but it has a bottom that sort of sits in a jar, and I've got one of those, and that makes life a bit easier, less messy.
And I would say, I don't know how many of you out there you actually eat marmalade. I mean, it is a delicious thing, and I absolutely love it. I don't eat it very often, in all honesty. But what I would say is marmalade can be a great thing to add to other recipes.
Well, we did, didn't we?
Yes, you did. You want to just quickly go, that was a dessert.
Almost the last remaining third or half a jar that I had left in the house, wasn't it? We decided. So our Christmas pudding was a marmalade frangipane tart. So basically, obviously, you have a pastry base, which you've blind baked. And then you put some marmalade in. I don't know, 6 or 7 dessert spoons, something like that, across the base, and then you put your frangipane on top. And it's, I think because it's Seville marmalade, because you've got that bitterness, it can coat with quite a lot of then sugar, like from a frangipane. Yeah,
so can you just explain? So frangipane is a form of a sweetened, thicker batter, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's obviously ground almonds.
And eggs. Yeah.
And then I piped it on. I think we have done a video of this actually before when we did it. So that actually stemmed from that. So we actually made the tart probably 4 or 5 months ago. And then we decided we enjoyed it so much, we'd quite like it again for Christmas Day. So that's what we did. And then I think it just works really well. The sugar and the marmalade, excuse me.
So, I mean, so we're just going to go on from that because that we just talked about frangipane there, and it is a form of a batter. And we also thought it might be quite nice to touch base on batters. Random, a bit random, I know.
No, but it's a wintry thing.
And also it's a wintry thing. And Charlie is pretty good. I mean, if we have a roast beef or whatever, Charlie makes a mean Yorkshire pudding. And I know there's a lot of recipes out there. I'm sure lots of people have their family recipes and the best recipes. But yours is pretty foolproof, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we want to touch base on that and talk about that. And also that actually the word batter can be used in lots of other ways. And my good old Ottolenghi books, I absolutely adore you, Ottolenghi, but he really got me into other batters, and quite often he'll call them a fritter. They're not fritters as we perhaps initially think about, like something small and very greasy and crispy. They're much bigger, and you do make a batter and you add things. I think one of the ones that really stuck out for me was a cauliflower and cumin.
Oh, nice.
Fritter.
Yeah.
And you can use different ones. I know he's got ones with courgettes and everything. And
we do. Yeah, because obviously we've done the Greek ones, haven't we? The courgette fritters, which have a very long Greek name, which I'm not going to try and pronounce because it is like 27 letters long. Actually, just quickly on the batter thing, as you talked about, like, just now separating eggs and things like that, I did, and to make sure I say this right, blinis.
Oh, yes.
Not a Bellini, because that's a drink.
Blinis, yeah.
That's obviously a batter, and I actually made some of those. I don't think I've actually ever made a blini, full admission, and I'd never roasted a partridge, so it was all new. I made those, and that is, again, a batter, obviously, but you separate the eggs, so you make a batter, and then with the egg yolk, and then you whip up some egg whites, and then you fold it in, and then that makes your very light, blini batter.
Which you then, because I get, they're
you find like
small,
little tiny pancakes.
Yeah, exactly.
They're a bit like, if I can say, American pancakes. They've got that slightly puff fluff in them, which obviously they're lovely. And I did have it traditionally with salmon, but you could have them with other things.
So Charlie, let's go back to Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah.
And do you want to just share then with everyone your go-to Yorkshire pudding batter?
Yeah, so it's
recipe?
based, I can't lie, it's based on good old Delia. And I know the recipe off by heart if you want me to reel it off.
Yeah, do.
It's 175 grams of flour, sifted, 2 eggs, half a teaspoon of salt, but I just sort of chuck a bit in, like table salt. And then it's 285 ml of milk and water. The only thing I would say about the milk, because obviously Delia does use whole milk. I don't have whole milk. I actually generally use skimmed milk. So I just put a bit less water in. I do more milk, if that makes sense. And you can just work it out like that. But I guess the key thing with Yorkshire pudding is just having really hot fat. And obviously there's multiple ways of doing that. You could do it in like a muffin tin if you want individual Yorkshire puddings. I use vegetable or sunflower oil because it gets hotter quicker. Obviously traditionally you would use beef dripping, but I feel like that, who has beef dripping lying around? You don't necessarily, unless you are, cooking joints of beef quite frequently, or you've gone out to buy just beef dripping. The other way you can do it is obviously in a frying pan, so you can warm up your oil to get it really hot, and then tip your batter in, and then get that into a relatively
I think that sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's quite good, and obviously then it's a Yorkshire pudding for many people. But I do quite like doing individual ones as well. The other thing that I read actually is that I think it's the protein or the way the flour is ground, in terms of how fine it is you can use bread flour, like plain white bread flour.
Yeah.
Instead of plain flour.
But you also would say don't use self-raising.
Yeah, do not use self-raising. That will not give you a good Yorkshire. I mean, you're very welcome to try, but I think I've tried it once and it was a bit of a disaster. It's not worth trying. But yeah, the bread flour sort of potentially gives you a slightly lighter, crispier Yorkshire. But obviously, again, we've talked about this all the time, but it's down to personal preference. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Great tip. I think that's a really good tip about the bread flour, actually. So you could mix the plain and the bread.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could. I mean, it depends if you're running out. I guess.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good tip. Oh, just finally, do you sift your flour?
Yeah. Sift your
just
flour.
make it
whatever flour it is, sift it.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
Fantastic. Oh, well, I think it's that sort of time of year, to be able to, batters, if it's pancake or you could try blinis or vegetable flavoured spicy fritter
definitely.
or something. It's cool.
Yeah.
Now, what did we do this week, Charlie?
So, part of a Christmas present, well, it is a Christmas present, was a Christmas present to you, obviously, as you do, busy Googling, what to do or where to take someone and things like that. And, well, you've been a member of the Wine Society for...
decades now.
Yeah, and probably me about 15 years. They amazingly had a wine tasting in Chichester, which is obviously where we're based, and I thought it was too good an opportunity to miss, so I got us a couple of tickets as a Christmas gift to go, and we tasted goodness. It was what?
It was 30 wines plus 4 that were blind tasting.
Yes, that's right.
But what I loved was they called it, most people this time of year are doing a dry January, and they called it try January.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Which I really liked. So I thought it was quite clever.
Clever.
There was, as I said, lots of swilling, sipping and spitting. There were spittoons there, so you weren't actually having to drink it all. But
did you have any faves?
There were a couple that kind of stood out. I mean, I think I had one for me, was from the Campania region in Italy, and it was the Torresi, and it's the Aglianico grape, and it's called the Barolo of the South. And
nice.
This was from a vineyard called Fuedi di San Gregorio, and it was full-bodied. Very sort of brambles, blackberries, that kind of thing. When you read the notes, it definitely had a long finish. It was quite complex. So though it was kind of full bodied, there was a dryness to it, but you got all these flavours after because you have to swallow a tiny bit. But once it had been in the mouth, there were lots of rather nice flavours. And it kind of continued to change on the palate. What I did read was, quite interestingly, it said it was a good one to decant before you drink it.
Because one of the things I would have said, I felt the wines there, obviously the whites were fine, but I felt like quite a lot of reds were quite cold.
They were cold, but we also said about the whites, a lot of the whites and some of the reds actually were quite acidic. We found a lot of the wines acidic,
so we weren't sure why. I quite like, there was a Spanish grape. I'm quite into my Spanish and Portuguese wines, and they had one, a Bobal, 2003, but it's a Spanish grape which is pretty unheard of. Can
I just stop you there? Actually,
all right.
It's not so much it's unheard of. It actually is one of the most prolific grapes grown in Spain next to Tempranillo.
Oh right, okay.
Or planted grapes, I should say. What it is it's not got what's the word? It's not got a great history in terms of great wine, but what they're finding now is new producers are spending a bit more time with this grape, and so some of the wines I think are much more interesting and better quality. So sorry, I think in terms of we probably don't hear about it so much because it's not such a great grape, but now it's sort of coming to its and
they did the blind thing at the end, which I thought was quite good fun, like sort of what we do at Christmas when we do our wine tastings. Quite good.
Yeah, so they basically
4 wines.
Yeah, we had 4 wines, 2 whites and 2 reds, and what they were doing is they were pitching. It wasn't the same type of wine, but it was pitching to say, there was a white and a red that was from France. And then the opposite wine was, what country has it come from?
A different country.
Yeah. So you had to just choose which you thought was the French and which you thought was the non-French, and where did you think it had come from? And that was quite interesting.
That was fun.
So it wasn't too arduous in terms of you weren't like trying to guess the grape and the year.
But it was a good way to spend a Monday evening. So
yeah, no, it was. It was really good, and there were a lot of people there. It was fun,
it was good.
And in fact, they had so many to try. We didn't try them all.
No.
I mean, but yeah, it was was good fun. That was really good fun.
Definitely. So in terms of like the books and things, we've obviously done this in previous ones. Have we got any that you want to talk about or bring up this?
Oh, well, first of all, Charlie, amazingly, the door did go about 10 minutes ago. And I have something for you to open that I sort of spotted.
The book.
The book.
Need to Know by Neil Buttery, A History of Baking. Oh.
So Need as in Knead.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's a little book I saw. And yes, and it just basically tells lots of the history about
Griddle cakes, pancakes, the batter we touched on earlier.
Oh, we got batter in there.
Puddings, pies, biscuit, cakes, patisserie. Yeah, really interesting. Thank you.
Well, have a little look while I just talk about my book, because there might be just something there, a little
Yeah.
snippet of something. The book that I spotted this week, actually, was one called Sylvia Plath's Tomato Soup Cake. And it's a compendium or a collection of classic authors' favourite recipes. So if you're a bit of a bookworm or a book lover, it's basically got recipes from famous authors even. And as I'm just looking at this book, because this has only just arrived as well, it's got things like Ian Fleming's Scrambled Egg, Allen Ginsberg's Cold Summer Broth. And I know, Charlie, there's something in here from Agatha Christie. So I think these are just going to be good, fun reads. There is a slightly random one here that I did read about it, and I'm just trying to find it. Oh, it's Noel Streatfield's Filet de Boeuf au Banana.
Oh, wow.
So there were various write-ups, and a lot of people said, I mean, Nigella absolutely loved it. Nina Stibb, utterly charming. Felicity Cloak, which I absolutely love. She says it was wonderful. I think a good read. So I think it's one of those we can have a read. And I think some of them might tempt me to cook them. And other readers were saying, you read it and you've just got to maybe hold on to your stomach slightly.
Yeah. Oh, and I have a very old book that is called is by Lady McLean, and it's a compendium or collection again of like recipes from famous people, varying from ambassadors to actors, and certainly some of those recipes are very rich as well, I would say. The ingredients, the amount of butter or amount of eggs that are used is very interesting. I think I'm going to have to spend a bit more time flicking through this book, but thank you very much. It's very
maybe you can share something from the book next time.
Yeah, no, I think I will.
Charlie is a great Agatha Christie fan, and I just want to love this one. I mean, it just says Agatha Christie's hot bean salad. So I'm just going to read this. It says, take a sufficient quantity of freshly cooked hot French beans for 6 people. Put in a brown casserole. I love the fact it's got to be a brown casserole. And mix with freshly milled pepper and 2 to 3 tablespoons of vinegar. Have half a pound of chopped up bacon fried, to which has been added in the frying pan a carton of potted shrimps.
Oh my.
Oh my. Mix all together and serve with the hot fat from frying pan poured over it. Runner beans can be used if preferred. I'm not even sure if I quite understand all of that. That's the kind of recipe we're looking at.
How do you do the potted shrimp then? I'm a bit confused.
Well, I think you probably buy the potted shrimp.
No, I get that, but it says add the bacon fried, which has been added to frying pan. Oh, so you do add the potted shrimps into the frying pan?
Yeah.
Oh, so it all goes in?
Yeah.
That's a main, apparently, in Agatha Christie's house. Which is interesting.
Fantastic, isn't it? So
that's where Agatha was my inspiration for my New Year's Eve, because obviously Miss Marple in the story has a whole partridge to herself.
Oh, that's right. I just love on the back of this book, it does say we've got Daphne du Maurier's slow gin.
Oh.
So there are drinks and desserts in here as well.
Writing, I'm sure.
But I just think a great read, and I think that would be a great gift for any book lover.
Oh, no, thank you.
You maybe spend some time in the kitchen. And yours, Charlie, Need to Know. I thought you're the baker really in the family.
No, I will take some time. I mean, I was very lucky as well because
share it on a post.
Yeah, at Christmas, I also received 2 other cookbooks. One is Grease the Cookbook by Vefa Alexeidou. I'm sorry if I haven't pronounced that right. And Portugal the Cookbook by Leonardo Carrera. And these are kind of the tomb.
They're like Bibles, aren't
they? Phaidon is the publisher, and obviously they often do very good sort of reference books, but these are the two books to have if you want to cook anything from Greece and Portugal. And what's wonderful is they break it into regions as well. So you get to learn about the different regions of Greece and what they cook and the variations, and likewise for Portugal. And I'm hoping to do a few of those recipes when I go to Portugal in a week's time.
Yes, you've got that coming up, haven't you?
So I'm looking forward to that. So I've got lots of lovely recipe books to get through.
One more book I'd like to share that I decided to sort of go back to actually this time of year, because Charlie and I were talking about this. I think sometimes January is about taking something up or doing something new rather than perhaps, when we think about 100%. Giving things up, and just such a horrible time of year to give things up. And quite a number of years ago, I bought the Everyday Harumi. At the time, she had sold millions of copies of this, but she really Harumi bought Japanese food, slightly westernized it, and brought out a couple of cookbooks. But this one is the everyday one. And I have to say, if you can find it, do get it, because the flavors are great. The recipes are really simple. As you know, with a lot of Japanese, it can be a lot of prep with the sauces and things, but it's absolutely delicious. And great favorites like the yakitori, and you do go on to make your own teriyaki sauce, which isn't that tricky. Basically soy sauce, mirin and some sugar, and you just cook it down. But it's delicious, absolutely delicious. And she also does one I just absolutely love as well, is salmon and prawn fish cakes. It is a bit decadent if I really think about it, because you take raw fish and raw prawns and you whiz it all up, but other than that, there's not really healthy, with ginger and a bit of sake and a bit of ponzu sauce, but it's absolutely delicious and so fresh. And I think this time of year, if you are perhaps just want to think a little bit differently and try a few new things, I think it's a great one. Harumi, Everyday Harumi,
the sort of Asian spicing as well is really good if you are slightly fluey, coldy, all that kind of stuff. It's a good combo to have.
And also, if you are trying to sort of cut back maybe on certain foods, the Japanese foods are great. And as you say, Charlie, full of flavour.
And healthy.
You don't feel like you're missing
fundamentally
out.
Healthy as well. So.
Yeah. So those are our books.
Yeah.
And then, going forward, you've got Portugal to look forward to. 10 days in Portugal.
Yeah. I'm going down there next week. And I hopefully do a bit of cooking, and I will try and do some videos. We are going to attempt to do a Zoom Teams podcast recording while I'm in Portugal and you're here.
Yes.
So we will try and do that. But if we don't, we've got lots of topics. I think we're going to cover off some bits. We've got some new exciting restaurant openings locally, so we're going to try and visit those and talk about that, and we're also going to talk about use by dates. We've talked about, I think that's quite a good topic to discuss.
Yes, I do too.
And so, that sort of brings us to the end of our first podcast in 2025. Apologies for the slight delay, but we are all now fighting fit and we will get cracking. We hope you are enjoying these. As I've said before, we are at Relish Lifestyle on TikTok and Instagram. Appreciate anyone who follows us, likes things. Again, DM us if you've got any questions about anything.
Or topics or recipes you want to share.
Yeah. So
I'd love to hear from you.
We are an open book.
Charlie.
Yes.
We must say this because we mustn't forget. What are you going to cook tonight?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I've got some chicken. So I actually have some red cabbage left over from Christmas. It's still surviving. So I'm going to slice that up, and I'm going to put some chicken legs on top, and then I'm going to rub a bit of oil into the chicken legs, salt and pepper, and then I'm going to put some dukkha rub on top of those and let it all sort of soak in, maybe some lemon on there as well. And I'm just going to roast those for about 45 minutes to an hour.
Ooh.
And then they're quite nice. And I'll probably just have some vegetable with a salad, or you could have it with rice. Things
nice.
Like that. So, yeah.
Nice. Very nice. You? Well, funny enough, I've got some chicken as well, left over from roast chicken. So I think, definitely it's all about trying not to waste things. But I'm going to make a little bit of a pie. I think I've got some vegetables left over, and I've got some chicken. And so I'm going to cook off, I've got some leeks in the fridge that kind of probably need using now. So I'm going to cook those with a few bits of bacon lard on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to stir in everything else. And I'm actually going to make like a very light white sauce.
Nice.
Maybe with a bit of the chicken stock and flavours, and then maybe add a little milk or creme fraiche. And then I'm going to make a little bit of pastry to go on the top, which sounds very naughty, but it's quite thin, and you could just serve that with a little bit of salad.
Nice.
Just keep it simple.
Green veg.
But it'll use it all up.
Yum.
I'm going to have
Sounds
a go at
good. Well, there we go. So yes, please let us know what you're up to, what you're cooking, what your favourite recipes are, or favourite books or anything. But yeah, keep relishing life.